Beautiful. And we'll give it another minute or two as we get a few more people on board. Sounds like we've got some artists in the room, Kelly.
Oh, yeah, I could hear a little bit of that as I came back in, so that sounds great. What was it? What was the first artist back one? You heard Sandra, and who was?
Yeah, Carolyn and Sandra.
Okay, okay, great. Is everyone in Perth, or are people in Brisbane? Is there Queenslanders, or maybe just drop it into the chat where you're from? If you can just put your name and your into the chat column, your name and your state, that would be great. Okay, Rebecca's from Perth. Christy's from Perth, great. Great. We've got a number of Perth people here, which is wonderful because we're all based in Perth too. So for all of us at 6 o'clock and it's still hot.
And it's going to get hotter.
Yeah. I'll just see all those chats.
From the UK. Oh, wow. Okay. Good.
Fantastic. Yeah, I do like to see where everyone's from. So there we go. So I reckon it's time to get going, and other people have to just join us, catch up as we go.
Absolutely.
30 minutes. We've only got 30 minutes, so we got to hit the ground running.
We'll make it punchy. Sounds good.
So Trinity, you want to lead us off?
Absolutely. Well, yeah, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. So what we're talking about tonight is creating engaging video content and really how we can, capture and earn people's attention online, because what we know is that it's so hard to cut through the noise. But the beautiful thing about video is that we can really share our energy and we can connect with people in such a more powerful way than we can do just with text alone or other marketing methods. So as uncomfortable as video can be, as confronting as it can be, as time consuming as it can be, we know that it is one of the most powerful channels to use. So tonight we want to give you some of those tools so that you can take full advantage of it and start to see the benefits in your own business. One of the things that I would really like to start tonight talking about, though, is just to remind you that you don't need a massive audience to have a really profitable business. When you're using video right, you don't need to focus on the vanity metrics. We don't need your video to go viral. You don't need an Instagram following of hundreds of thousands. You don't need everybody to comment on your LinkedIn post. What you really need to concentrate on, the only things that you need to be looking at, is that you are sharing your good work and your positive energy, that you're connecting genuinely with your ideal customer. The other thing that you want to be doing is to show up consistently, like be repeatable, make sure that people understand your brand. You're always showing up in the same way, be consistent, because these things are how you build relationships, genuine relationships. And this is how you can actually make a huge amount of profit from even a smaller database or follower base. Because what we're doing here, we're really trying to bring value through what you're sharing. And that's what we're going to be focusing on tonight. There really are, what we see is there's two kinds of businesses when it comes to sharing social media videos. We've got people that are posting to get the likes and the follows, like to be really popular, thinking that, being the next influencer is the only way to attract new clients. But the way that we want to look at this tonight, we really want to approach this in the second way, the other way, which is to teach you how to share your gifts with the exact target audience for your business in mind, so that you can build your target business and those relationships with your ideal customer. So we're very lucky. We've got both Kelly and Paul here with us tonight, seasoned business professionals and coaches, and they have seen it from many different angles, doing it themselves and also helping countless others here in Perth and all over the world actually to do the same. So looking forward to hearing their pearls of wisdom tonight. Thank you, Kelly.
Yes, I think, look, hi, I'm Kelly. I said based in Perth and have really been in small business for probably over 40 years. So the change towards this online, I've had to navigate as well. Fortunately, because I've got used to doing lots of public speaking about business, I could actually translate it into this space. So that probably made me not as fearful about getting into online, but it can be one of those things that a lot of people resist. I think the challenge with that is that remember that people ultimately do buy you. So if you're not prepared to put yourself, I don't think you've got to be like, frame small like we are tonight, and because that actually can be quite difficult for people to see themselves. So the first thing that I'd say, I'm just going to give you a couple of little thoughts before we even get to what you would say. Just some little thoughts about prepping yourself ready for doing something online. So I hope this is useful. By the way, use that chat line, that little chat one, because if something comes up, we're not seeing your faces, but we actually can hear from people. So if you just use that, or if you just kind of put your hand up in an image or something, then we could actually ask you for any questions that arise. So please do that. But the first thing I'd say is that you've got to set up an image, like I'm talking about a visual, when you're going to film, that you can actually frame yourself. So say even me here, you can sit yourself back. You generally want to see someone. You generally do want to see someone filling about 2/3 of the frame or something. You can't have yourself so small that someone can't see actually who you are, which most of us, maybe we try to do that and quite happily withdraw. You actually have to frame yourself in the picture. And therefore, if you can set up with a tripod, which you can buy, I think like $30 at Kmart type of thing, set yourself up so that you can see yourself, put yourself in a frame. You go to a blurred background, or else go to yourself with a nice background outside. Don't get stuck in this thing of just sitting in your office or in your shop taking a video, because if you have a nice background you've framed, people are far more engaged. The second thing is you do have to have good light. So I've got just a ring light on right now, just, one of those little ring lights, just so that your face isn't too dark. And again, they're nothing, they're $30, $50. And if you have one and you use it, it just straight away takes out, that's a thing of worry, oh, how's the light going to be, because you've set that up. The fact is you do have to look a bit confident into the camera. And even now, some of you are like, oh, golly, I don't think I'd be looking at the camera. But you have to treat that camera like your friend, and just look at the camera, which I kind of am doing a little bit more directly now, and just say, and look at it and just think of it as being your friend and people who do want to listen to you, right? So do that. You've got to think of through the trends. So is there here's me, I actually am going a bit rambly there. Paul or Trinity, did either of you guys want to add anything into any of those thoughts? They were branding your frame, get your frame ready. Secondly, having good light. The third thing was approaching this with confidence. And if you're nervous, you can almost say, oh, golly, I feel really a bit nervous chatting to you all today. Talk like a person, chatting to you today.
Yeah.
You know
Look,
what I mean?
I think one of the biggest things that people come up against when they start recording their videos is they feel a little bit foolish, like they're shouting into an empty room, and they're like, I think one of the best pieces of advice I heard, and I believe it was Warren Buffett that said it. It sounds like Warren Buffett. When he puts out any piece of marketing material, he imagines that he's talking to his sister. And okay. I think that really helps when you're doing video as well. Like if you can think, like if you are so in tune with your ideal customer avatar that you can picture that person, or perhaps you've got a star client that you can picture, but all else fails, picture your best friend, picture your sister. Like imagine that you are speaking directly to one specific human being, and things actually start to become a little bit more natural. You don't feel like this talking head shouting into an empty room, like everyone's looking at me, I must look like such an idiot. You're speaking genuinely to someone and trying to share something with them that's of value.
And I think that's that thing, make friends with the camera, because otherwise you will tend to like look away and think, oh no, who's going to be listening to this? I'm talking about. Funny enough, if you do imagine it's your friend or your ideal, your regular customer who you're chatting to about a new product, or your sister, that warmth. And I think genuine warmth comes across too.
Yeah, and also I see a lot of people that do things on camera get hooked up on, oh, it's not perfect enough. I'm not professional enough. What are people going to think of me? right? That kind of stuff. You've just got to get over that, because it's all about, as you say, being genuine, being yourself, and that's what comes through, and that's where the magic happens, you know.
And it's so magic when you make a mistake. Like, it honestly can, because you just think when you do say, oh my gosh, I got my words mixed up, don't think I'll go back to the beginning. Just keep moving, because everyone can relate to it. And I honestly think you get more comments when you do something a bit silly than when you actually seem like you're perfect. You know, you're not a newsreader.
Mhm.
You're not there as a newsreader. You actually are there as a genuine person who has got a service or a product you want to talk about.
Yeah. And it's just about the Nike rule. Just do it and you will get better as you go along. The more you do it. I cringe at some of the things that I did years ago. So you just get better as you go along. So, but the main thing is just to get started.
Yeah, yeah. And I would, and maybe we're talking, this is all about this confidence, but also genuineness, right? Because that's, if you want to cut through from what many people are doing, I tell you, that can be a real point of difference, because they feel it. So I think one thing you could do is show this, when you do a little video, show it to someone who knows you well and just say, hey, does this come across as me?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just someone you trust, and you just go, and if they say you look like you're either really scared, you think, oh yeah, but that's kind of all right. But they might say, oh, you look like you're holding yourself together, and then she said, I'm going to try it again. So again, just practice that a few times and let someone see it. And dare I say, take the risk of getting someone a bit of feedback there, because you do want someone to say, that's you.
I think that's a really good point, Kelly. And further to what you touched on, Paul, like this is an example from like the online course world where, you know, all of us have bought video courses that we haven't completed, right? So I know that Udemy, they did this study on how to get people to complete more courses, how to watch these videos. And they found that the more relaxed and the more genuine that the course presenter could be, the less polished they were. Like if they were using filler words like if they were drinking water or a cup of tea while they were speaking, the completion rate of their videos went through the roof, because people felt like they were in the room with them, and they could make that connection. So having mistakes in your videos can actually be more engaging than having this perfectly polished talking head. And that's been proven in studies.
And maybe you almost feel a bit rude if you leave the room when someone's talking to you personally, rather than thinking it's just a lecture.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good way to think about it.
So the probably the two other kind of tips I wanted to say was, and you mentioned this too earlier, Trinity, with this, is you do have to bring an energy to it. Like you sit back and you're thinking, I'm really excited about this new hair product that I'm going to talk to you today, and it's really kind of changed the way that my client base operate. I mean, really, it doesn't happen. You're going to have to just go. You don't have to kind of become manic, but you've got to think, am I projecting through there? Someone thinks, yes, I'm really a person and I'm really got something I'd love to tell you about, as opposed to I'm just flatlining. So just think about how you can bring a really relevant energy. Really don't go over the top, don't suddenly jump through the screen at people, but bring a really relevant energy to your product, your service, and what you're talking about. So
absolutely. That's so important, Kelly. And I think what sits behind that is also the story that you're telling yourself about what this video is going to be. Like if you allow yourself before you press record to be thinking, oh, everyone's going to think this is stupid. I bet I get no likes. I bet no one engages with this thing. I bet I'm just going to waste everyone's time and look silly. If you're telling yourself that story, the energy that you show up with is going to be very different to if you show up with this genuine energy. Like I've got this value to share, or I'm working on this really cool artwork and I want to share the process so that people can get emotionally involved and appreciate it more and get that much more beauty out of what I'm sharing. Like the story that you tell yourself of why you're doing this video really changes the state and the energy that you bring to it. It's so important.
Yeah, cannot be apologetic. You can't. It just doesn't work. You make everyone feel uncomfortable to watch you if you're apologetic. I liked what you said there, Trinity, because you said, especially in the early days, don't do a video if you don't have any interest in it. If you go, you've got to choose something that you really do care about in some way. So I'm going to give you a bit of a format for like a 1-minute video, but the topic or the product or whatever you've got to care about it, because it really comes across if you don't. If you go, oh, well, this is new product number 9. It's, you've just got to have a care factor, or it is quite difficult to carry any energy about it.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
totally.
passion comes through your voice and your body actions and everything, from a subconscious level as well. So you have to be passionate about what you're talking about and your product and service, as you say. So yeah, very, very good point.
And
And
then
I think just shifting that focus off yourself as well, like brings another quote to mind. I think this one was C.S. Lewis. But humility isn't thinking less of yourself; it's thinking of yourself less. And I think that having that humble approach to when we do our videos can make a huge difference. Like, think of yourself less, like what Kelly was saying. Focus on what you're sharing. Focus on this service or this product that you're bringing in to make the world a better place. Let that be your focus, the thing that you're serving, and be humble enough to take the focus off yourself. And it does change the whole dynamic of the video. That humility.
Yeah. And we've all got that. We just sometimes get a little bit hoodwinked to project ourselves as if it's kind of like, it's actually me projecting on there, but actually I'm actually just trying to share something. I'm not the answer to everything. I'm just trying to share something about something I love and feel could help. So I think that, and then my final tip is, when you do a video, I think you need to script it out. And the main issue is to think through the transitions between little topics or little thoughts that you've got. So it's quite difficult when people sometimes come to it first off, because you might want to talk about a product, but you haven't thought about how it transitions. So you've got to think, I'd like to talk to you about, we'll get to the format in a minute, but when you get to the body of what you want to say, you'd set it up to something like, look, I'd love to give you 3 thoughts about why this hair product is actually incredibly beneficial for you. And reason I've come to love it, let me say, the first idea is that it's a natural organic. It's not going to harm your hair. In this day and age, none of us want that. Don't want to use a product which is harsh on the hair, but also it actually makes it much easier. I'm making this up, by the way. I don't know anything about hair products, but I just get my hairdresser to worry about that. The handling, the mass of your hair and your health of your hair. Anyway, you just got to set it up in a way that the transitions actually happen between each section, as opposed to, you going to another piece of paper. Oh, yeah. The other thing I wanted to tell you, because as soon as you're doing that, you break people's kind of commitment to the script. So it's better to have a really short talk and be able to deliver that, or else to have really comfortable to have a longer one where you sit back and you do actually tell longer stories. So really, can you think through the transitions, and have it scripted, but you're not going to be a slave to that script. It's just a way of making sure that you just know where you're going from the beginning. So with that said, hopefully those little tips, have we got a thing in the chat?
We've got a couple of questions coming through, Kelly. So Sabrina's just asked further to that, how long should an introduction video be about a new business?
Look, you've got it say if we're thinking on social media, you've got about 10 seconds, of course, to get them, right?
Okay.
You have to think about that. But the longest people will watch is a minute. And but as Trinity said at the beginning, you're not a clickbait. You're not just trying to go viral. So you're trying to actually inform. So therefore, if some people drop off, you can't be worried about that, as long as you're reaching your people. But I think you're better off having a number, like having a strategy for how you're going to introduce your business. So rather than saying intro video about your business, I'd be thinking, okay, I've got a new business. And maybe I'll choose another. I'll get away from hairdressing. I don't know why. I've suddenly been overwhelmed with hairdressing. But perhaps if your business was accounting, right? You think about what are those elements of my business that make me unique, that I do want to communicate to new businesses. So you may say, I've got 5 elements. One is I've been in this, my level of experience. That's one thing. Number two, the kind of service I want to provide. I'm going to focus on small business people with a specific understanding of BAS statements and preparing them for accounts. So then you might have so you've got your experience, you've got what your target group is, you've got the fact that you've got a really good availability because you work, you work from home and you can actually speak to people out of business hours. So you'd come up with your points and you do a video on each. You wouldn't do one video and try to address all of those. You think, because it's a bit what you said at the beginning, it's about that consistency of showing up. So, if they're going to need to see you 7 to 10 times before they kind of take notice, then you can't be saying the same thing over and over. So spread your info and just say one thought, because that's much more likely to grab people than trying to deliver a 3-minute video, which honestly, they're not going to watch. They're not going to watch. It's not going to happen.
We've got another question about videos coming through from Amanda. How many videos can you do about a service provision? I think, but people already know what I do. Do they want to hear it in a video?
But in some respects, you're trying to think of what's the purpose of the video. Because what you're saying there is you're going to talk about the what, right? What I do. But I'd be thinking, what about if a great new piece of research came up that related to your business, right? What about if you heard a great quote that you thought, gosh, you know what? That's exactly what I've been trying to communicate in your business. So you just jumped on and said, look, I know you all know that I'm an accountant, but, I heard this thought, Rockefeller said, how much money do you need? And he said, just another $1. I'd love to think that my clients don't think like that, because I really think that, money has got, so you don't have to be just talking about what you do. You're actually trying to engage people in who you are. So you share your values. You may share a great story that you've asked to share about a client an aspect that you help them. You may have a quote that you've heard, a piece of research, the latest research, a story you read in the paper that resonates with your business. Don't think your point of being on there isn't always a direct sale. It's actually a relationship building so that people will come to you when they're looking for that product. So I think that don't think too narrow about what you're going to say on the video. Open up and get creative about what can be on that video. What platform?
Right.
What platform should I publish my videos? Well, first of all, I think, if you haven't got a YouTube channel, it's really easy to set one up. And I think if I was starting again, and I've actually got it now, so it doesn't matter, but if you have a YouTube channel, every time you do a video, put it on it. Because first of all, you can reuse them. You can reuse it, because if you did your 3 values of your business, 1 value on each one, well, you could use that every 3 months. And then you're not worried about if they go onto a social media platform, it can be gone. If they close down your page for some reason, you would lose not only all of your contacts, but you'd lose all of your content. So to me, you're not going to spend time on producing videos just to have it gone. If you set up a YouTube channel, it's free. You have a library. In that library, you can give it a title. You can give it a little description of what you were talking about. You can make that library live really for years. And in fact, what about 3 years later, you want to show a video that you did that was actually just nuts. You can say, oh, here's me 3 years ago when I was starting out in this. I still believe the same things, but gosh, I've come a long way. Show the video. And, there's that real sense of you being able to laugh at yourself too, which I think is a really nice thing. So I would suggest that you should, even though you publish on a particular channel, so say, you go to Facebook because your target audience is women, and it's women largely between 40 and 70. That's your target group. So therefore, you're going to put it on there, but don't post it on there. Have it on your YouTube and share it into your social media channel. Yeah? Does that make sense to people there? Just great. So here we go. I think now we've only got 5 minutes. Oh, wow. So we're going to be very quick. So I hope you've all got your little pen and papers ready and you're ready to go, because I'm just going to give you a format that I use whenever I do a short video. And it's like a little bit of a formula, But the great thing about it is that you can write a really good script out of it, and then you can emphasize the part of this that is most important given your purpose. So first of all, I would want you right at the top, what is the purpose of this video, right? Is it, you ask yourself, you have to tell me now, ask yourself, is it to inform? Is it to encourage? Is it to persuade? Is it to sell? Is it to educate, or is it to kind of make people laugh and engage? So you kind of go, what am I doing it for? Right? Is it, so that's really important, because that should reflect the language you use and the whole examples you use and the way you approach it. Okay? So therefore you go to, what's the purpose? And just say, look, I'm going to educate people about the importance of or the value of art and beauty and the way it can make a difference in your life. That's what I want to do. I just want to educate them. Another time I say, I want to persuade them, and that's a bit of a different language. Anyway, that's what I do first. Then here we go, content, right, guys? Put part A, maybe we could send this in the notes actually for you. We could do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I can include that.
Okay, so the first thing is this introduction. The introduction totally should take about 15 seconds, right? And here's the 4 things I do in the introduction. Is first of all, I start with a question. I do not start by saying, oh, hello, I'm Kelly from Business Station, because a whole lot of people think, oh, I don't know who she is. I don't know who Business Station is. Oh, it's nothing to do with me, and move on. You've got to actually think it's the hook. If I said, do you want to grow your business? And would you love to think you could do that with your current database? You think, what? That's not. So you start with a question that you think they might want the answer to, or you start with an issue that you think someone would want to learn more about. And you know what? It reminds you, can I just say this? It makes you stay on task. You're not going to do a waffly long intro, because you've actually told them this is what I'm talking about, and they go, oh, that's what she's going to talk about. He's going to talk about. So first thing is, you've got to have a curious statement, a question, something you think will be interesting to people. So don't say, well, you know, hello, and, you know, would you like to hear more about my business? Because they'll be like, I don't even know who you are. And they've moved on. So you've really got to say, you've got to really say a really interesting statement, first thing. Second thing, then you would say, hi, I'm Kelly, and I'd love to talk about, and then you'd make a statement about what they're going to get from this video. I'd love to think that I've got some insight into actually how you can grow your business, because I've been in business for 40 years as a small businesswoman, and I've learned a few things. So then people think, okay, maybe she's got some credibility. And then you give them a little invite to join in with you. So that's the 15 seconds is all you've got to do that. Perhaps 10 if you can, right? 10 seconds. So then my second section, that's part A is your intro. Part B is information. At that point, I'd share about 15 to 20 seconds on actual some content. And again, you've got to have a link, guys. So don't go straight from, you know, promise to, you know, I'd love you to think that you're going to get something out of this today, because I feel really inspired about the difference that what you can do to, you know, use your current database. But here you go. Let me give you tips. I'm going to give you 3 tips. You've already got a link into what you're going to talk about. And people think, oh, great, she's got 3 tips. She's got 2 tips. She's got 1 tip. They know what they're going to listen for. You've told them what they're listening for, and then they come for that. So then you would give them your little catchable little bit of information. You may actually want to tell a story there. So you may, you know, you do something, or you give a quote, or you do a line, or you tell a little bit of research. You just give them that little bit of content about whatever that initial question was. You're addressing it. Don't go off waffling into something else. You just stay on that. And 15 to 20, you might think 20 seconds, 25 seems like it's too short, but I promise you, you'll get out a few sentences out of there it'll make you hone what you want to say. You can't afford to be talking on and on and on, because you've got to hone it to what actually that person wants to, you've got to answer that question. So that would be my second section. First one, I've done an intro. Remember, I've got a curious question. I've introduced myself. I've said how I can potentially help. Then I've linked it. Now I'm going to give you some information that will help. And that's your second section. And then your third section is you give them what you're asking them to do. You give them, I mean, we say these days call to action. Sometimes I don't like using all these words, because they make it sound like it's, you know, something wild, when it's just saying, hey, where to next? Just say, look, I'd love you, you know, if you want them to share if you had a great bit of research, you might say, hey, I'd love you to share this information. Oh, I'd love you to share it on your Facebook page. Because then we can actually get this information out. Or you can say, I'd love you to drop me a comment to say if you've ever heard of this product before, or I'd love you to tell me what your #1 reason is for looking for an accountant. Just give something, or you direct them to your website, or you do something that actually is asking something of people, right? Because that's much more critical engagement than if they say like, don't like, because so what if they like, you know, they may not do anything with it. So that's your section 3. And then my last section that I always do, because we're at 6:30, is you must sign off. If you don't end strong, you're lost in the ether. So that, you know how you have these guys who do, you know, you hear these journalists and they go, what's that guy? Gosh, he's got a very funny voice. And they sign off with their name, and they kind of have a completely different sound in their name, in their voice, the way they say it. But what it becomes is their sign off. Yeah, I used to watch Hill Street Blues. You know, be careful out there. They always have a sign off, because the
You stay classy, San Diego.
Exactly.
There it is. Yeah,
You know what I
Ron
mean?
Burgundy.
Actually, a way of people saying it's finished. She came to the end. And she was ending. It's not like, oh, thanks for being listening. See you. You know, you've just got to finish strong. And the way to finish strong is just have a statement. Think about it. And if you laugh when you say it, and it doesn't matter. Just have fun with it and finish in a way so you finish strong. So that to me, if you think about the intro is your 10 to 15 seconds, your teaching is 15 to 25 seconds, your call to action is 10 seconds, and your sign off is 5 to 10 seconds. There's your minute video gone. Right? And there's your format. You use it every single time. And the purpose of what you're doing will change your language. It'll change your examples. It might even change your energy level. But you're not actually every time thinking, oh no, what am I going to say this time? It becomes really, really simple to follow. So for me, I've used that so very much that, I'm thinking a tagline to finish, Stacey, is really important. So I really would love, I think that's what we might ask you all to send us, is a great tagline that you think you could use, and it could be something fun, but it's something that's connected to your business or connected to you. And you're going to you're going to feel a bit of a dag when you first say these things, but honestly, you'll get stronger and stronger. Be a woman dancing to your own rhythm. Yeah. And maybe you'd say, Stacey, why don't you join me? Be a woman dancing to your own rhythm. That's the way you finish every time. So, yeah, and so that's where Stacey, that's why I was saying, let's make it personal. Why don't you join me? Why don't you become a woman dancing to your own rhythm? Because then other women go, oh, she's confident. Oh, and remember, if they see you do this 5 or 6 or 7 times, that's when people start to engage. Yes, inspirational quote. And that, Sandra, is taking the same principle in a written form. Remember, it's easier because people have got it in front of them. Whereas when you're on a video, you got to use the same one because they need to know you're finishing up. Don't change that tagline. Okay. So hopefully that's has helped you guys. And that you feel like you've gone away with some content. We think maybe we should do a part B to this one.
I think so, Kelly. I'd love to hear. Yeah, I think that we need to come back with some examples. Like there's been some requests for some examples and do a bit of brainstorming around what we can make this look like. But before we sign off, can I throw to you, Paul? Because I'd love for you to let us know what's coming up.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Trinity. So I've just been identifying a few challenges and frustrations that business owners are really, really struggling with at the moment. So, and you probably resonated with this about the cost of doing business is going through the roof. Things like profit and margins have been eroded. So I've put together a little bit of a jumpstart program that I call Jumpstart Cashflow. It's all about cash flow because you've probably heard cash flow is king. So it's a 5-week, 5 strategy program. And it's just the main objective is to get people to understand cash flow management a lot better, right? I delve into things like the power of the P&L and how you can use that to the best advantage, how to improve your revenue, ways to lower your expenses, which is a big challenge for a lot of businesses these days. So talk about cost of goods and overheads, how to lower those. But we will send you the information. But what I will do is I'll put in the chat box a link to the landing page, so you can get some more information there. We'll also put that link and a little bit more information in the email that we'll send out to you as well. But it is an investment of $450. I have been running it for a few years in different sort of formats, but it is just completely online, right? You have a personal dashboard, so you can come and go as you please. I have one live session each week just to keep people on track and get their specific details and challenges done. And I also have a closed Facebook group and record everything online as well. So you've got that. If you are out my local time zone, you do have access to watch and go through the program in your own time as well. So that gives you a little bit of an overview from it. The investment, as I said, is $450, but definitely a good investment with a return that you can get.
Yeah, that's fantastic. $450 for 5 weeks of coaching is a pretty good deal, especially when it's something so focused on your financials. Like, that's going to pay off, right?
For sure, definitely, without a doubt.
March the 6th is another financial topic for this, because it's, am I charging enough to support my business? So that's a topic for our swings and roundabouts to register for, because people really need to think about that question. Am I charging enough to support my business? Most people think from the opposite, which is, oh, how much should I charge here? That's not the question. The question is, what am I charging enough to support my business and to support the growth that I want to bring? So you have to think, what are my costs? Not, otherwise you haven't got a business. Sure. You've got a hobby. So that's the real challenge that I think all of us in small business always face. So hopefully that has given you guys, I know that we love doing these because they're really great ways of engaging and just dropping that bit of value for you guys. So we send out a recording of this, don't we, Trinity?
Yes. So following this, I'll send around the recording, some of the notes on the outline that Kelly gave us, and also the links to the program that Paul mentioned.
Sounds good. Sounds great.
We've run over, but I think it was a tough one to kind of keep within that 30 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think we'll do a part B for sure.
Okay. Fantastic.
That's good.
All right. Thanks, Kelly. Thanks, Paul. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'll send those links around, and I hope that you join us again next month. It's the first Wednesdays of every month. Make sure you sign up for the next one. We'll see you then.
See you guys.
Take care. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.